Tony is a bit of a troublemaker and the go-to bouncer for a nightclub. When the club temporarily shuts down for renovation, Tony finds himself out of work and without an income. To make ends meet, he even enters a hot dog eating contest, managing to down 26 hot dogs, tying with a hefty competitor. But he knows this isn't a sustainable solution and needs to find a new job to fill the gap for the next couple of months. Despite his prejudice against other races to the point of secretly throwing away cups used by black people, Tony finds himself interviewing for a job where his potential employer is a black man. Dr. Don Shirley, a pianist, needs a driver for his tour in the Deep South. The job involves more than just driving. Tony would need to manage Dr. Shirley's itinerary, handle day-to-day tasks, and act as his personal assistant throughout the trip. In an era rife with racial discrimination, it's unthinkable for a white man to serve a black person. But the salary offered compels Tony to set aside his pride. Before they set off, the record company hands Tony a green book, a guide indicating the hotels and restaurants that are safe for African Americans during a time when many places were segregated. Tony's rough manners are on full display as he eats burgers noisily while driving and constantly chatters, much to Dr. Shirley's discomfort, who struggles to cope with Tony's smoking and loud personality. Tony is initially dismissive of Dr. Shirley's strict ways and demeanor, but he's utterly amazed by his first performance, recognizing him as a musical genius. Despite the applause Dr. Shirley receives, he spends his nights alone on the hotel balcony, sipping his drink in solitude while white people party below, highlighting the stark contrast between elegance and loneliness. In letters to his wife, Tony expresses admiration and recognition for Dr. Shirley's talent, indicating a shift in his perspective. The tension escalates before the second performance when the agreed-upon Steinway piano isn't provided, and the replacement is in poor condition. Tony demands a proper piano for Dr. Shirley, showing his support for the first time in a confrontation. At the next performance, the piano is indeed a Steinway. Their journey takes them to Kentucky, the birthplace of KFC, where an excited Tony buys a family bucket. He eagerly suggests Dr. Shirley try some, but the lack of plates and cutlery makes it a challenge for the always elegant Dr. Shirley. Eventually, Tony's persistence pays off and Dr. Shirley enjoys the fried chicken, throwing the bones out the window, marking their first truly relaxed and enjoyable moment together. In Louisville, they can only find lodging in a motel that serves black people, which is in deplorable condition. Dr. Shirley, dressed in a suit, feels out of place and faces rejection from his own community due to his attire, highlighting the complexities of identity and acceptance. At the hotel, Tony is suddenly informed that Dr. Shirley has been assaulted in a bar by a group of white men simply for wanting a drink, a place where in that era black people were not welcomed. Tony steps in, angrily demanding they release Dr. Shirley, falsely claiming he's armed. The bar owner, fearing trouble, brandishes a shotgun and orders Tony to take Dr. Shirley and leave. Outside, Tony berates Dr. Shirley for going to such a place and insists that from now on Dr. Shirley must take him along wherever he goes. However, a drunken Dr. Shirley tearfully points out that discrimination is a constant for black people, no matter where they are. After a series of incidents, Tony's view of Dr. Shirley shifts from mere notes to admiration, then to understanding and sympathy. Their journey continues, but their car breaks down, forcing Tony to make repairs. Meanwhile, Dr. Shirley exchanges looks with the ragged black laborers in the nearby fields, the stark contrast rendering everyone silent. Dr. Shirley feels alienated from both the white world and his own community. In Raleigh, their host claims to have prepared a special dish for Dr. Shirley, which turns out to be a large plate of fried chicken, a clear mockery. During the break, as Dr. Shirley heads to the restroom, the homeowner stops him, suggesting he use the outdoors instead. Furious, Dr. Shirley prefers to return to the motel rather than face such humiliation. The next day, Tony writes another letter to his wife, but Dr. Shirley, critiquing Tony's awkward prose, offers to help, resulting in a beautifully romantic letter. In Macon, Dr. Shirley spots a suit in a shop window and wants to try it on, but they're told black people must buy before trying. Frustrated and helpless, they leave the store, and that night's performance reflects Dr. Shirley's anger. That night, Tony receives a call from the police station and finds Dr. Shirley detained, along with a white man, both showing signs of a scuffle. Tony manages to secure their release, and Dr. Shirley, worried Tony might think less of him, is reassured by Tony's understanding of life's complexities. Tony meets with friends who question his employment with a black man and offer him another job. Before a performance, Dr. Shirley, having overheard Tony's conversation, expresses fear of losing him and formally offers Tony the role of his tour manager, but Tony has no intention of leaving. On a rainy day, pursued by a police car, they are stopped. The officer questions Tony about being with a black man and forcibly searches Dr. Shirley. Forced to confront the officer in the rain, Tony impulsively strikes him, leading to their arrest. In the police station, Dr. Shirley criticizes Tony, asserting that violence never leads to victory but only puts one at a disadvantage. Then Dr. Shirley requests to make a phone call to his lawyer. Surprisingly, the call is to the brother of President Kennedy, leading to their swift release from the police station. On their way back, another argument breaks out between them. An exasperated Dr. Shirley demands Tony to stop the car, where he finally breaks down, expressing the deep-seated pain and frustration of being black. Gradually, Tony has mastered the art of writing letters, and their relationship has evolved to one of open hearts. Tony reflects that lonely people often hesitate to take the first step, keeping their inner doors firmly shut. The eve of Christmas marks their final performance of the tour, where they've grown accustomed to facing discrimination. Before the show, the hotel manager refuses to allow Dr. Shirley to dine in the main eating area, suggesting he eat in a black-only restaurant instead. In a moment of solidarity and lightheartedness, they decide to skip the performance, leaving the manager in distress over the awaiting audience of 400. Later, they visit a black bar where Tony, being white, feels out of place and scrutinized, mistaken for a police officer. Dr. Shirley takes to the stage and plays on an old piano, his exceptional skill earning cheers from the crowd. For the first time, he performs for a black audience, playing freely and joyfully. Needing to make it home for Christmas Eve, they set off through the night, but are stopped by the police again. Expecting another discriminatory encounter, they are instead warned about a car tire issue, with no mention of Dr. Shirley's race. After fixing the car, the officer wishes them a Merry Christmas, a small but significant gesture of warmth in the cold night. They make it back in time for Christmas, with Dr. Shirley driving as Tony rests from exhaustion. On a Christmas-filled night, Tony invites Dr. Shirley to join his family celebration, but Dr. Shirley initially declines, returning to his grand but lifeless mansion. Meanwhile, Tony's home is filled with warmth and joy until a knock at the door. It's Dr. Shirley bearing wine, and the two embrace. Tony introduces Dr. Shirley to his family, who, despite their initial surprise, warmly welcome him. Tony's wife even gives Dr. Shirley a hug, symbolizing acceptance and friendship. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this.